Hello and welcome everybody. Nancy Ray Allen here and welcome to the Rebel Haven community. I created this group because there is some crazy stuff that goes out there on social media when you're someone that is really living on the edge of consciousness and exploring and sharing new truths and very experimental, right, with consciousness and artistry and all these different things that sometimes there feels like nowhere to go where you can just be with your people. And so that is why I've created this group, and I'm excited to watch it grow and flourish. So I would love it if you have anyone that you feel inspired to share this group with or add them, whatever. Let's get our people in here so that we can create a haven of the rebels, people who are here to revolutionize consciousness. As you jump on and join, be sure to say hello. I'm excited to do this live today. I've actually been having some very interesting experiences in dialogue with other coaches. I just came back from a retreat with my current coach, and it was at a retreat full of like 20 other coaches. So you can imagine being in an environment where everyone is super conscious and very aware of their own programs and triggers, also really aware and like powerful seers of truth. It's really tricky to lie when people, people can call you on your crap really easy. It was a really interesting, intense environment for me. Hey, Jeremy! I have 1,000 people in here? I don't think I do, Jeremy. I think you're seeing how many likes my business page has. This group only has like 300 people in it. Yeah, but we'll be to 1K soon. I believe that. Fantastic. So I want to talk to you guys about a core belief system, a BS system, right? Bullshit system that's going around and really blocking coaches and healers from truly stepping in their truth. And at what I see happening is, okay, I'm just going to start illustrating it for you. The key to really calling in clients and operating in a place of being your gift is confidence, which is this really strong belief system and clarity about who you are, what you deliver, and the value that you really bring, right? So confidence is essential, and everyone's like, well, duh, that's nothing new, Nancy Ray. Like, I know confidence is important. Now, like, where does it come from and how do I get it? Okay, that could be like a 5-hour lecture, but let's talk about, okay, so the first thing is confidence comes from like a kind of a stubborn, arrogant commitment to backing yourself up, believing in yourself, and trusting in your gifts and intuition. But this is where the core thing is that shows up that's actually blocking from healers and coaches from moving forward with confidence and doing it consistently. This being the most important part of this discussion thread that we're starting here, you guys, is the consistency. Now, it's not uncommon in the world of being an entrepreneur to have this going on, right? Things shifting and changing as your systems are improving and enhancing, as you're launching and rolling out new products or programs, or as the time of the year shifts and change. There tends to be more common times of the year for people to be, buying certain products or programs or whatever it is that you do within your soul-driven business. And there are other times of the years where maybe they're less attentive to, like consumerism of these products or services, right? So that's a normal, natural thing. But what we see happening oftentimes in the coaching and healing world is we see this, like a big peak, like, yeah, and then like a crash and burn, and then a big peak, and then a crash and burn. Now, one of these things is systems, which as healers and intuitives and coaches, oftentimes there's a big struggle with. These are the coaches that you see be wildly successful, who are people who lived in the corporate world, who are incredibly masculine, system-driven, sales-driven, marketing-driven, and then they move over into the healing arts, right? Then they have this big like movement over into more of their feminine, and they marry the two and fucking explode, right? We've seen this happen. Then there's a category of people who've always been highly sensitive, always been intuitive, always been in their feminine, and they come into the healing world and they're incredibly gifted, and they're oftentimes getting their like butts handed to them by these other corporate coaches, okay? And not to say one's better or worse or any of that bullshit, but just it's difficult for these people who are like corporate lions and then bring that over into the space of coaching and healing. And then these not little tiny, but these people who were the softer, more feminine, more introverted, or more spiritually based entrepreneurs to have their voice be heard in the marketplace. It becomes very, very tricky because they're not very good at systems and marketing, and they're not very good at these consistency things, and they're way more in the flow. Okay, so you have different issues for the different categories of people, right? Like working with and talking with like the corporate coach is a very different dialogue and conversation as far as giving advice or insight. So down here, and I'm putting them above and below, I'm doing that as income level. Okay, it's not better or worse. But when you have these soft-spoken introverted healers, what they can most commonly become the bitch to, as in they give their power away to, is their emotions, right? Because sometimes the line between like intuitive hits and emotion gets blurred. So it's like what is the intuitive hit coming here? And oftentimes the people that are very, very spiritually based and incredibly feminine, they get to have some more masculine structure, some more action taking to bring in more consistency into their business. Okay. So whatever it is that you're operating in, wherever the pendulum has swung, like way over in the masculine system, do, fucking exhausting, or way over here in the feminine, which is like, like, I don't know, like there's not a lot of grounded forward moving action. So diagnose yourself right now. Where do you find that you play the most? Are you way over here in like kind of the corporate lion type energy, very, very masculine? Or are you more over here like swung to the feminine energy of super fluid and whatever? You know, our corporate lions, what they often struggle with is boundaries, surprisingly, and putting them in a place that supports them. And also, because this is the thing that people don't understand. They assume oftentimes the more boundaries they have, the more masculine they will be. That's not true. Boundaries are the container for the feminine to play and dance. So if you have a corporate lion type person coach that's super into systems and marketing and go, that's experiencing burnout, they actually need more boundaries, which it seems counterintuitive. They need more inspired boundaries to create new balance in their life and flow and space for intuition and creativity and for rejuvenation and all of those things. And then over here on this other side, when you have incredibly feminine coaches that come to coaching, like there's lots of paths to coaching or to healing work, right? Like we know this. There's tons of paths to it. The people who come to it via like this, they're highly sensitive, they're very intuitive, they're more soft-spoken type of a personality. And I'm being super general here. I know that, okay? Like there's a wide array of spectrum of everyone, okay? What they require for their next level, for really, really leveling up, is they require some consistent action-based systems is what they require that still allow for the flow and the fun and the playfulness, but their boundaries look in a different way. Either way, it's usually a boundary violation, but that's a whole nother life. So what is it that's really rocking the world of coaching when you feel these high highs and these low lows? Well, it's when the confidence is getting shaken up. And even in your corporate lion type coaches, this still happens, because what we have done and what we often do is we connect our ability to coach or to do our healing work with excellence. We connect or attach it to our current emotional and material reality. So it's like, man, I woke up feeling kind of off. Like, okay, like who am I to tell anyone how to live their life? Who am I to give people creative insight? I know you know what that voice is and what that feels like, right? Or like something like, oh shit, our car broke down and we got hit with this. And I'm late on my mortgage. So who am I to tell other people how to align with abundance? And they immediately move into this place of discrediting and disvaluing themselves based on a temporary condition. What happens is we often make what is currently how it has always been and how it will always be, right? Like when we're happy, it's like, I'm always going to feel good. Like, this is amazing. When you're abundant, like blah, 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 blah. When you're down, it's like, oh, like I've always been self-conscious. I've always been insecure. I've always been. And we attach very constricting language, like always, never, have to, should, need, all those things. It'd be great to remove them all from your vocabulary. So it's time, my beautiful coaches and healers, to detach your skill set from your current material or emotional reality, because it is super, super temporary. And I remember I used to call this kind of like the chicken and the egg syndrome in coaching. Oftentimes we get stuck and we're literally spinning our energetic wheels, and it's very, very exhausting and not lucrative at all. It's like the epitome of deficit, right? And you know what this feels like, because when it's going on internally, it begins to manifest in your reality, where you're like, oh, maybe I need to go get a job. I'm going to start selling some of my shit. I'm going to start doing network marketing on the side. And you like scramble for money. Like that feeling comes out of the space of the deficit, of the spinning of the wheels. And this is what spins your wheels, my beautiful, beautiful world changers. Okay. What spins your wheels is, I will be credible to coach when I'm making more money. And I will be making more money when I'm credible enough to coach. So do you see how it's like chicken and the egg, chicken and the egg, chicken and the egg? And there's this hesitancy of like waiting for evidence. Once there's evidence, like lots of testimonials or like all this proof, like all this validation for my gift, then I can coach people. Then it's easy to market to people. Then people will listen to me. Then now all of a sudden I have validity. But that's, guys, I hope you're seeing how that's completely backwards. We teach this shit, right? That the feeling of abundance comes before the abundance. Right? Law of Attraction 101. You feel the feeling first, then you manifest whatever the thing is into your reality. So why are we not seeing it within why are you not seeing it within your coaching? Like, where, it makes no sense. It's like a mechanic being like, so I haven't had customers in a few days, and now I'm really starting to doubt my ability to like change a transmission. I don't know if I can do it. Maybe I need to go get a job at McDonald's because I haven't had customers in a few days. So maybe, do you guys see how fucked up that is? It makes no sense. A mechanic is a mechanic, whether he's in the garage working on a car or not. You are a healer, you are a coach, you are a world changer, whether you are currently sitting across from a client or on the phone with a client or not. It doesn't change. And I mean, you don't see, and this is the separation that really gets to happen. Really, like, just like this chasm. And again, I know it's a paradox, because to be a really fantastic coach, you really do get to walk your talk. It's really important. And it makes you even that much more powerful in a coach, because you've walked the path. Like, you know what that feels like. You've been down those trails and blah, 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 blah. But more often than not, I don't find the problem in the coaching world being somebody trying to coach who isn't actually on the path trying to better themselves and trying to become more and actually working to integration. Most of the time, people are not coaching and not really owning their gifts and being more confident. I want you to be arrogant. I want you to even try to be arrogant, because you really can't. Like, I know you would try, but it's like, honestly, I could tell 100 of you go be arrogant, and maybe 2 of you could actually achieve it in a way where I would like comment and be like, maybe maybe a little less or something, but that would be so rare, because more often than not, we hide shame in a package that we're calling humility. And it's actually a fucking cage. Like, I'm so humble. I'm just so humble. And we like feign this like almost self-deprecating humor to like dim down our light so that we don't make anyone else feel uncomfortable, or we're not shining so bright that someone comes over and is like that's synthetic. You're not really that shiny. Like, you're pretending it's shining from inside of you, but I know you're holding like 100 light bulbs or something. Like, we're afraid of that. And it's time for that to stop, because there are thousands of people awaiting activation. There are thousands of people waiting to be activated, awakened, and ignited, their fire like completely lit up, but they're not, because you are playing small and you're apologizing for your power. And you're completely blind to your power because you're connecting your power right now and your confidence in your gift to your current state of reality. I remember thinking that. I'm like, I want to coach people about prosperity and abundance, but I don't feel like I can coach them about it because I knew a shit ton about it. But I didn't feel like I could coach them about it until I was making money. So I waited and waited and waited, and it was the most awkward fucking stalemate ever. Because obviously, if you're meant to teach people about prosperity, how are you going to make money teaching people about prosperity unless you start teaching them about prosperity? Right? And where else are you going to glean amazing intuitive material than in your journey of creating prosperity for you, teaching them about prosperity? You guys see the cycle, the chicken and the egg? Give me some hearts, give me some thumbs up if you guys see that cycle, how it's like, this is why you've got like coaches and healer people that are like going fucking crazy and experiencing all sorts of crazy symptoms, lots of autoimmune stuff, you guys. It's a thing, right? Depression, like they're totally deluded because they're living in a delusion that they have to like do something before they can claim the beingness of something. But you be first. You guys know this, be, do, have. So it's time for us to get back centered in that beingness and know that there is a paradox I was just talking about, which is, yes, you do get to walk your talk, but part of you walking your talk is actually beginning to work with clients and owning your confidence and owning your gifts completely. So please, now moving forward, separate and detach your skill set as a highly intuitive, gifted healer and coach from maybe some temporary physical conditions or circumstances. Those do not define you. And most importantly, coaches oftentimes forget to own their whole story. They own like a small segment, like this week, my house is a disaster and all my kids hate me. I'm a sucky coach. That's why you have this happen, right? And they start going up when they stop and own their story and remind themselves and get reignited in their confidence of like, holy fuck, like their whole journey, their whole life, from inception to now. Own your complete story and you'll be like, holy shit, I'm fucking amazing. I did this in the beginning of December. I had this like waffling period of like, and guys, my monthly income definitely month to month reflected this waffling. Okay, it did. And I was like, man, shit, maybe, oh, that's right. I was having some internal turmoil about where to spend the holidays. And I was having some different family things come up and like just weird stuff, right? So I had this span of like a week or two where it was just like fucking crazy. It was like explosions, little bombs going off everywhere. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm a coach that teaches people how to have this amazing, prosperous life. And by prosperity, I mean all three categories: relationships, health, and money, right? I teach this. I'm like, I teach this. And yet my life just blew up for like 2 weeks, right? It was this chaos. And this happens, right? So I felt this waffling and then like the income, the consistency went down. But then I paused, especially when I was doing like my year-end reflections. And I thought about my whole year and was like, holy shit, I did a lot this year. I did a bikini competition, lost a ton of weight, wrote my first book, did 100K in my business in 90 days. Like I broke all these records, healed my marriage. My marriage, like, you guys, 2.5 years ago, I had moved my husband out of our bedroom and I moved out of the bedroom. That sounded weird, and was like, I was done. I was so done and fed up. And now to the point where it just gets better and better every day, right? Our relationships more connected, like just this beautiful space of change, right? When I just look at this, like guys, 4.5 years ago, I was on food stamps. I forgot that. It's like I forgot where I've come from. And I can even take the tape further back, you guys, like 18 years ago where I was at. So angry and bitter and frustrated and mad and hating the world and living in this victim space and watching my family literally crumble around me and addiction and the police and jail and like abuse, like all this crazy, crazy shit, to where I am today. It's like, oh my God, I'm an amazing being with tons of experience to draw beautiful, juicy insights and concepts and tools for my clients and the evolution of consciousness. Like, and I was reignited and reminded of that. And that's what a lot of coaches are missing, is the full ownership of their story, of their transformation, and their journey. So all of you, it's time for you to own your gift unapologetically. I love you guys so much. Thank you for being here. Be sure to hit share share this video out, share it with your communities of amazing spiritual beings, and also be sure to add people to the Rebel Haven. So honored to have you guys here. We'll talk to you again next Wednesday.